Hi, Jan. Do you hear me?
I do indeed. I do indeed. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Good morning for you. We are here in almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let me say a few words about you and about your achievements for those in the audience not necessarily familiar with them. So I will say just a few words about Jan Barkin. He's a seasoned leader and an innovator in digital operation, robot processing automation, intelligent automation. I will speak a little bit about this in the moment. Business process outsourcing and the future of work. One of the world's foremost experts on intelligent automation. He is co-author of Intelligent Automation, a book which has to be read. And I think that many people in this business already did it, but it is a book that has to be read by almost everyone. If you have more than 5 years until retirement, you should better read this book because it is extremely informative. I did. I finished the book a few days ago, and I can say that it was extremely interesting. It was a book about intelligent automation, and maybe a clarification here. Maybe Jan will talk a little bit about it also. But my understanding is that intelligent automation is something different than smart automation. It is not about having automated processes more intelligent than before, but automating knowledge, automating intelligence per se. And this is a very clear visual in a graphic that they included in the book. Intelligent automation means to automate almost everything that is related with human knowledge and human intelligence, starting from senses, from vision especially, then turning to language, thinking, and execution. All these areas can be automated, and this is the core of the book. On one side is a very easy to read book. On the other hand, it's very difficult. And it is very easy to read because the phrases are short, they are crystal clear, there are many definitions. In a way, it's more like a dictionary because it makes sense of every concept they use. On the other hand, I say that it's complicated because it is very dense. There are so many definitions, there are so many clarifications in the book. There are, I think, dozens of technologies presented and explained. There are dozens of study cases. So it may be overwhelming. But my suggestion is that you should read it fast, let it grow inside, and then come back to one chapter or another. Jan, please, you have the floor for 10, 15 minutes. We are listening.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for pitching the book. It was a passion project that I and a few of my friends did just because, as you said, I think we realized that there was a struggle in the discussions we were having in the industry that we were in to just have a shared vocabulary to sort of know what each other was talking about. I used to go into discussions with clients and they would ask, like, can't we just use AI for this? And it would drive me crazy because I knew they didn't know what they were talking about, and I didn't know what I was talking about when I said AI. And so it wasn't serving us well to have big terms that didn't have discrete, useful applications and definitions for. So hence the book, which did end up being a little bit like a dictionary. That's funny that you described it that way. So thank you. Okay, so I will get on with my presentation. First and foremost, hello everyone. Thank you. Thank you for letting me go last. It is, as you said, I'm in Florida, and I've only just had my coffee, so hopefully the things I say will now make sense, at least in my own head. And secondly, I want to thank the Energynomics team for having me speak and be a part of the DigitALL 2022 agenda. It's an important topic. It's one that's close to my heart. and hopefully I can be of some assistance. It's not an easy time for many right now, and so I just wanted to say thank you too. I hope you've found some normalness in the day, and I hope all of yours and your loved ones and your family and friends are healthy and well. As mentioned, I've only got a few minutes, so I'll jump in. But first, I want to sort of share some background and context. So, looking through the agenda, you've covered a lot of ground today. Everything from Internet of Things to robotic process automation to intelligent automation, AI, et cetera. The entire complicated digitalization framework, as you mentioned, that I tried to simplify in the book a little bit. So let me tell you my background. I, through no particular plan, spent my entire career with 3-letter acronyms. I started with ERP, I moved to IoT, then to BPO, and then to RPA in that order. I started as a PeopleSoft implementation person, not a good one. This was 20 some years ago. And then I left and focused on IoT. I actually founded a consulting firm that helped assess and design IoT technologies. At the time, we were calling it machine to machine. I got to do some really cool stuff with Zigbee and 802.15.4 and WiMAX and short, medium, long range with embedded sensors. Spent a lot of time working in the utility space. That was cool. Then I went into BPO, where the sensors and the wireless transmission wasn't the innovation. It was the low-cost talent. It was the people that was the innovation. And we distributed work across the world. I mean, you're well familiar with this. That we sent work, we being any nation that had what they perceived to be expensive labor, they sent it to places like India and to Mexico, to Poland, to Romania, to China, to many more. Philippines, lots of different locations. And so I got a chance to travel the world, make friends all over the place. Then I stumbled into RPA because RPA was actually the next sensible step to BPO. You know, you first give the work to people who you make work like robots, and then next you give the work to actual robots. And so that's why you find so many of the analysts and so many of the folks that were specialists in BPO now apparently are specialists in RPA and intelligent automation. And whether they are or not, who knows? Whether I am or not, who knows? I was doing BPO, RPA was the next sensible thing. So then I was just lucky. I was lucky that I was there early. I saw how it could make a difference. And then I co-founded an RPA consultancy that grew into being the largest sort of pure play specialist of its kind in the world. And that was an amazing journey that I don't know if I'll ever top it. It was a chance to make great friends, work with great clients, work with great software partners, and travel all around the world. So the other thing I've been doing in the last 8 years, as I was going through my own RPA sort of discovery journey, is that I've been teaching. I've been teaching my clients. I've been teaching my software vendor partners. That one was hard. And I've actually been teaching hundreds of thousands of people inside organizations about what digital is. As mentioned, with things like the book. What is RPA? What is intelligent automation? What is artificial intelligence? Like I said, I still don't think I know. And in fact, I was up until 2 a.m. this morning, which is why I needed the coffee, finishing my next course, which is effectively what is process mining, because that's another area that's catching a lot of people's attention and could be an exciting addition to the toolkit. Okay, so I share all of this basically to give you context and to then back up the fact that I think there are a few realities that you face. I say this not knowing who's in the room, but just knowing what I've seen working with industries and enterprises across the planet. So here are some of my lessons learned and my suggestions. First, and this is rather blunt, but you're behind. Your industry is behind. But don't feel bad because almost all industries are behind. They're just behind in different amounts. but you're behind. And the challenge is that industries with heavy regulation and tight budgets and massive teams, big distributed field forces, just complex operations in technology and aging technology especially, those are the places that are most likely to be behind. And it's why you see things like the insurance industry struggles to be a leader in this space. Energy and utilities really struggles to be a leader in some of these spaces. They've got incredible innovation some places in their business, and they struggle elsewhere. And then some financial services organizations. Some banks throw ungodly amounts of money at digital projects, but others have struggled. And it would be sort of tone deaf and blind not to mention that things like massive price surges and the sort of state of the global market and uncertainty are not making it any easier on probably everybody in that room. So second, and this is one I spend a lot of time talking about, none of this stuff is a technology story, right? Says the guy who started a technology implementation consultancy, wrote a book called Intelligent Automation, teaches courses on RPA, AI, cognitive tech, process mining. This is not a technology story. It's a people story. Right? Technology is a sort of supporting actor, and it's a useful one, but the people are the main event. They're the main actors. And the reason I say this and say it sort of so many times is because every company I've worked with gets way too excited about the technology. They start their journey by Googling what is, and they fill in a name of technology. What is RPA? And then they go and get a whole bunch of demos. And then they make a decision based on some set of criteria. But it's almost never the right path. It's easy to get excited about it. I totally get it. The technology promises to make all of your pain go away. It promises to modernize your operations, reduce internal operating costs, increase things like employee and customer experience, et cetera, et cetera. Sounds great. But the fact is, it's just not true. Because what you need to be doing is, again, focusing on the people and focusing on the purpose and the process. Now, that's not to say the technology is bad or it hasn't done good things for us. And what I mean by that is I've come to terms with the fact that the technologies I've been lucky enough to play with in the last few years have been extremely valuable to enterprise transformation because they give everyone, every level of the organization, the leadership, the operational leads, the transactional experts, the subject matter experts, it gives everyone a new lens through which to look at what they do. And it's actually why, to the point about the book, it's why the book was written so simply. It's because there's a huge value in giving everyone a chance to have that lens. And so what you get when you have that lens is you have people who then understand RPA or low code, no code technologies and just a general vocabulary so that they can all start to ask some pretty simple questions. Like, is this the best way to do this step? Or even more importantly, do we need to be doing this step at all? Right? Just because what we found so much in our sort of process assessment and opportunity assessment and vision workshops, whatever you call it, most of the time, the value was just looking at ourselves. In certain industries, again, where the systems are old, the regulators are tough, the processes were built 20 years ago or even longer ago, there's a lot of room for sort of self-reflection and process transformation opportunity. So the technology has been really helpful for that reason, but it's a supporting actor. So back to the people. One of the things that I've been lucky enough to do is teach. Like I said, hundreds of thousands of people, not just through the clients I've worked with, but because I've got courses online. There's just online courses that anyone can find, and they do. And what it's given me is a chance to see what large enterprises around the world are doing, because I see who's taking the course. not just for sake of data security, not everyone who takes the course. I see who likes the course and I see who shares the completion diploma. If they took the course and say, I just finished this course, then I see who they are. And I see where they work, because this is LinkedIn. I spend way too much time on LinkedIn. Way too much time. But banks, pharmaceutical companies, retail firms, you name it, I'm seeing large organizations put their people through what's effectively a digital transformation curriculum. And I think that's so powerful because you really are teaching everybody a vocabulary of digital. Right? You're teaching them just how to speak to each other. So when they do see something that's broken, or they're just, they've been trying to express their frustration or pain of why do I keep having to do this step, they can start to speak in a shared vocabulary with the others in their organization. So they can find the opportunities for you. They can help you understand how to solve those problems. And it helps because you're building sort of a spectrum of talent. First and foremost, it's teaching people how to be scouts. Citizen is a word that's used a lot these days. So citizen scouts who are looking out for opportunities. And then what you can do is you can train the next level if the people have the willingness and the capability, and you allow them to, if you give them some space in their day job. And then they can learn low code, no code tools, things that don't require them to have gone to school for Python, but they understand how to use graphical sort of drag and drop visual interfaces to solve their problems. Then you start to build a citizen developer core. Now, that's not the answer. You shouldn't just have citizen developers digitizing your operation. But I think, again, it's really valuable to have those people working closely with your IT organization to start to question everything and sort of innovate and sort of continually improve everything. Now, I will say one of the things I think is very important is you don't have the skills internally to do this safely yet. So you do need to hire experts. That's another one of my takeaways. And it seemed self-serving when I was running a company of experts, but now I'm not. So now I'm just saying it for you. Do with it as you will. But I think if you aren't an expert yet, hire them, because those experts will be the best partner of your citizen teams who are growing through scouts to developers. They'll be the best assistant to your IT teams, and they will be an absolute sort of godsend to your leadership to help you to assess and to distill and simplify the complexity, and then deploy technology and help you set it up so that it will run for the long term. And you don't need them forever, but have them help you upskill your team and set a really solid foundation. So citizen scouts, citizen developers, external sort of consulting, transformation expertise. Because the challenge is if you don't do these things, you end up with lots of little teams picking their own tools, choosing their own sort of selection criteria of what makes for a good project, automating the best way they can. Right? They're trying, they mean to do well. But what it turns into is absolute chaos, technical debt, a digital mess that someone will have to clean up one day. Or you'll just go out of business because it's just such a mess. And then you don't have to worry about it. But I don't think you want to go out of business, and I hope you do, and I hope you don't go out of business. So ultimately, I mean, those are my takeaways from having been just a lucky person in the right place at the right time, seeing enterprises use big enterprise technology, then using humans as a transactional engine, to then using automation to supplement, in some cases, replace those humans. It's an incredibly powerful opportunity. It really does begin great discussions about what good can be and how to get there. And there's an amazing sort of selection of capabilities, teams, tools, and talent in the market for you to tap into. And I'm not saying don't build your own capability. You'll definitely do that. But the low code, no code tools, some of which you've probably heard from today, that expertise, especially expertise that speaks your industry language, because every industry is special and different, and you don't want to deal with a learning curve of someone understanding the complexity of like utilities and energy, for instance. That process component is far harder to learn. And so find people who speak the language now rather than learn on your dime and on your time. And that's really it. I mean, again, it's no time like the present. Digital transformation is an imperative to survive and succeed and thrive. But the thing that makes me most excited about it is just whatever the framework is. And yes, I have the book as a, and here's the framework.
Yes, yes. We also have it here on the video.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. But it was ultimately it's simple. It's simple for my simple mind. The technology is just doing what we were doing. It's doing the things our fingers did. It's doing the things our eyes and our ears are doing, our mouth and our brain. That's it. And if you can distill the world of digitalization down to those capabilities, you demystify it and you make it accessible, and then you make it useful as a tool or a set of tools. So.
Thank you. So thank you, Ian. You sound very surprisingly for me, not a tech enthusiast. Well, somebody would have thought. Thank you for your thoughts, for your lessons learned you shared with us, and also for the warnings. I will open the floor maybe for one or two questions from people here, if there are any. I have one question for you until we'll eventually have one from the audience. You specifically warned us not to be over-enthusiasts about the technology. My question is, do you think it is possible, or maybe only desirable, to build ourselves as something like a digital Rambo, something to do everything by yourself, helped by a bunch of digital tools? I ask you because in Romania, I don't know specifically in other countries, but there are so many opportunities. There are so many professionals looking for starting their own initiative, their own businesses, and getting a team together with you and working all the management and all that comes with that is very complicated. And there are many interested, more or less, to work by themselves, and they hope that technology might help them. How do you see this?
Well, so do you mean big companies developing their own tools in-house, or other startups trying to
as individuals trying to build themselves as digital Rambos?
It's a great question. I don't know. I think that it's one of the things that I like about the low-code, no-code space, frankly, is I think there's so many solid building blocks out there. There's so many pieces to this puzzle that the innovation is going to come in finding the right pieces and combining them in interesting ways. And so that's why I think, again, I think things like low-code, no-code tools in the citizen development community need to learn about how to pick the right tools, put them together to solve solutions. Now, that said, you've got intense technical talent in Romania, so there'll be a lot of people who start some really cool companies. And you've got an obviously UiPath and others have created a real buzz and massive focus both for investment and just energy in the industry. So I'm looking forward to seeing some really great companies come out of Romania very soon. Well, I mean, they are now, but continuing for the next many decades. So.
Thank you, thank you. One final comment, please, and tell us a little bit more about your involvement with the Ringel team within the Procesio project. What is your specific role? What are you looking for?
So I guess I'll go back and comment on a point you made, and then answer your question. But I love technology. I've been in technology my entire career. It's just made me a pragmatist about technology, because I realize I've seen some great technology not do great things, and I've seen some not great technology, take off and be in too many places. But my firm belief is, if you've got innovators and leaders in a team that are strong and understand their purpose in the industry that they're in, great things will happen. And I saw that in the Processio Ringhell team. It's sort of the classic, I guess, bet on the jockey, not on the horse kind of story. Is I really liked the team. They had a solid understanding of the industries that they serve, but also were really approaching the evolution of the digital toolkit in a way that I resonated with, that I could get behind. And so to the extent I can be useful, I'm just I'm hanging out with the team, with Mihai and his gang, and sharing what I've seen over the last 10 years. Sharing, I think, how best he can work with enterprises to make them successful, which will in turn make him successful. How to respect that ecosystem, to know that a technology vendor can't do it all, that they need those service providers and they need those champions internally, and now what we're calling the citizen development squad. All of those pieces have to come together. And then some of what we're doing is just talking about sort of messaging, because it's really noisy out there right now, right? And a lot of people are jumping on concepts like low code, like intelligent document processing, like process mining and discovery and process intelligence. There's just a lot of words. And so how do you choose your words carefully to break through the noise and actually be having valuable discussions with people who truly need partners, truly need help, truly need digitization? And so that's sort of a rough description of what I get to do with Mihai and the Ringhell team.
Thank you very much, and it was a very pleasant conversation, which closed up a very good last 2 sessions, where the education was one of the main themes, although not specifically intended this way. And talking with a trainer for hundreds of thousands of people, it is mind-blowing. Thank you very much. Looking forward to see you maybe in Romania as soon as possible.
I would love that. I can't wait. Thank you again for letting me have the chance to speak. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me too, you can find me on LinkedIn. So send questions that way. I'd love to help any way I can.
Thank you. Thank you very much.